The lights of the Grand Theater glimmered across the faces of the excited audience. The air was alive with energy. Another night of auditions, another chance for dreams to unfold. Backstage, a humble father adjusted the tiny collar of his son's shirt. The boy, no older than 10, held onto a small wooden guitar with strings so worn they barely shone under the bright bulbs. The father smiled gently. "Are you ready, Anik?" he asked softly. The boy nodded, though his small hands trembled. "Yes, Papa, for Mama." The stage manager gave them the signal. The curtains parted. A wave of light hit their faces. The father took a deep breath and led his son onto the stage. The audience looked on, curious at the pair standing side by side, a middle-aged man in a simple barong and a little boy with hopeful eyes. Simon Cowell leaned forward slightly, intrigued. "Hello," Simon said, his familiar British tone cutting gently through the silence. "What are your names?" The father stepped up to the microphone. "Good evening, sir. My name is Ramon, and this is my son, Carlo. We are from Cebu, Philippines." The crowd gave a small cheer. Amanda Holden smiled warmly. "Welcome, Ramon and Carlo. What will you be doing for us today?" Raymond's voice wavered a little. "We will sing a song that I used to sing to my wife when she was still with us." The audience grew still. The boy lowered his eyes, clutching the guitar tighter. Simon's tone softened. "I'm sorry to hear that. Is she watching tonight?" Ramon nodded slowly. "Yes, from heaven." A hush fell over the theater. You could almost hear the beating of hearts as the father and son took their positions. The music began, a simple acoustic melody, slow and tender. Ramon started the first verse, his voice deep, cracked slightly with emotion. Carlo followed, his soft, angelic tone weaving around his father's like sunlight through clouds. Together, their harmony painted the story of love, loss, and hope. As they sang, the audience leaned in. Every word carried a piece of their soul. Every note told of the nights Ramon worked double shifts, playing old songs just to make his son smile. And every chord carried the memory of a mother who used to hum that very tune while cooking breakfast in a small Cebu kitchen. The song wasn't just music, it was a story of survival, of love that didn't end with goodbye. Simon Cowell's expression changed. His usual analytical stare softened. His lips parted slightly, and his eyes shimmered. He leaned back, watching not with judgment but with awe. By the chorus, even the toughest audience members wiped their eyes. Amanda placed her hand over her heart. Alicia Dixon whispered, "This is beautiful." Then, as the song reached its bridge, something magical happened. Carlo's voice soared. He sang with a purity that made time seem to stop. His small frame shook with emotion, yet his tone was flawless, innocent, raw, and heavenly. Raymond's deep harmony followed like a shadow of love protecting him. It was the perfect blend of generations, of a father's strength and a son's hope. When the last note faded, silence filled the room. No one dared to speak. Then, suddenly, the entire audience stood up in thunderous applause. People were crying, clapping, cheering. Ramon looked down, tears streaming down his cheeks. Carlo looked at his father and whispered, "Papa, did we do okay?" Ramon knelt beside him and hugged him tightly. "You did perfect, Anik. Mama would be proud." Simon wiped a tear from his eye. For a long moment, he couldn't speak. Then, with a shaky voice, he said, "Ramon, Carlo, I've seen thousands of auditions, but what you just did, what you shared, it's not just a song. It's love, and it's the reason I fell in love with music in the first place." The crowd roared. Amanda nodded through tears. "That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard from a father and son." Simon stood up. The music swelled softly again. "I think," he paused, looking at both of them with a trembling smile, "this deserves something special." His hand moved slowly toward the golden button in front of him. The audience gasped. Carlo's eyes widened. Ramon covered his mouth in disbelief. Simon pressed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti rained down like blessings from the heavens. Carlo screamed with joy and hugged his father tightly. Ramon lifted his son into his arms, spinning him under the falling light. The crowd was on their feet, chanting their names. Simon smiled, still emotional. "You've just reminded us that music is not about perfection, it's about connection. And you too, you have that magic." As they left the stage, the camera followed them backstage. Ramon held Carlo close. Mama saw us, Anik. She saw us. Carlo nodded, tears mixing with confetti on his face. I felt her, Papa. Their small team of producers and crew members clapped and cheered for them. It was not just a performance, it was healing, wrapped in music. Later that night, as the show wrapped up, Simon sat quietly at the judge's table. Amanda looked at him curiously. You okay, Simon? She asked gently. He nodded, smiling faintly. Yeah, you know, sometimes you think you've seen everything, but then a small boy from Cebu and his father walk in and remind you what real love sounds like. The next day, clips of their audition went viral across the world. People shared their story, crying as they watched. Thousands of comments flooded in, messages of love, empathy, and admiration. Many said they called their own fathers just to say thank you. Others said the song helped them forgive someone they hadn't spoken to in years. Months later, Ramon and Carlo were invited back for the finals. Their song this time was an original piece, a letter to the mother they lost. When they performed, the entire arena glowed with lights from people's phones, creating a sea of stars. Simon Cowell once again stood up, clapping with pride. Though they didn't win the season, they won something far greater, the hearts of millions. After the show ended, they returned to Cebu. Life was still simple, but their world had changed. They performed at small community events, inspiring others to keep singing, to keep believing. Their village held a celebration for them. Neighbors, friends, even strangers came together to honor their journey. On stage, Carlo looked out at the crowd and said, "This is for every parent who never gave up, and every child who never stopped believing." As the night ended, Ramon looked up at the stars. "We did it, love," he whispered softly, imagining his wife smiling from above. Carlo came up beside him, holding his hand. "Papa, do you think Mama heard us?" Ramon smiled. "Yes, Anik, she always hears us." The camera faded out as father and son stood under the night sky, their silhouettes framed by the golden glow of lanterns floating above Cebu. The music swelled, soft, emotional, and pure, echoing the love that had carried them from a small island to the world stage. This story isn't just about talent. It's about love that doesn't die, dreams that don't fade, and a bond between a father and son that can move the hardest of hearts. Because sometimes, the greatest music in the world isn't played on instruments, it's played in the silence between two hearts that understand each other completely. Thank you for watching this beautiful journey. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories of hope, courage, and kindness from around the world. Remember, love and music can heal even the deepest wounds. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and keep believing in miracles.